The wind howled like a pack of demons through the jagged peaks of the Rocky Mountains, carrying the scent of impending doom. In the dead of night, two figures stumbled through the snow, their dresses torn and bloodied, faces gaunt with terror. "He's coming for us," whispered the taller one, her voice breaking as she clutched her sister's arm. "That monster won't stop until we're dead." They collapsed at the door of a lone cabin, pounding desperately, their cries swallowed by the storm. Inside, Elias Thorne stirred from his restless sleep, his grizzled beard flecked with frost. He grabbed his rifle, heart pounding, not from fear, but from the ghosts that haunted his solitude. "Who's there?" he growled, cracking the door open just enough to see the two women, shivering like leaves in a gale. Their eyes, wide with desperation, locked onto his. "Please, sir," the shorter one begged, her lips blue from cold. "We've been abandoned. Our husbands, they're gone. Shelter us, or we'll die out here." Elias hesitated, his calloused hand tightening on the doorframe. He'd lived alone in these mountains for 20 years, trapping furs and mining specks of gold, far from the sins of civilization. Women? They were trouble, always had been. But the storm raged fiercer, and something in their pleading stirred a long-buried pity. "Get in," he muttered, stepping aside. As they hurried past, he caught a whiff of something metallic, blood. His eyes narrowed. This wasn't just abandonment, this was flight. The cabin was sparse, a stone fireplace crackling with pine logs, a rickety table, and a bed of animal hides. Elias bolted the door behind them, the wood groaning like a warning. The women huddled by the fire, their shadows dancing grotesquely on the walls. The taller one, with raven hair matted by snow, introduced herself as Clara Hayes. Her sister, the shorter with freckles and trembling hands, was Lila. "Our wagon train was attacked," Clara said, her voice steady but her eyes darting to the window. "Bandits. They killed our husbands, left us for dead. We ran, miles through the blizzard." Elias poured them steaming coffee from a battered pot, his own mug untouched. He studied them, their fine lace collars peeking from under muddied cloaks, not the garb of poor pioneers. "Bandits, you say? In this weather? Ain't many fools brave enough for these passes." He leaned back in his chair, the firelight carving deep shadows into his weathered face. "And you two just happened to find my cabin?" Lila glanced at Clara, a silent exchange that didn't escape Elias. "Providence, maybe," Lila whispered. "God led us here." But her fingers twisted a gold ring on her hand, one that looked too ornate for a simple widow. As the night deepened, the storm battered the cabin like an angry fist. Elias shared his meager stew, rabbit and roots, watching them eat ravenously. Stories trickled out. Their husbands were prospectors, heading to California for gold. The attack came at dusk, guns blazing, screams echoing. "One of them," he laughed as he shot Tom, Clara said, tears streaming. A scar across his face, like the devil himself. Elias's blood ran cold. Scarface Malone? The outlaw who terrorized these mountains years ago, before vanishing into legend. "You sure about that scar?" he pressed, his voice low. Clara nodded, but Lila averted her eyes, spoon clinking nervously against her bowl. Suspicion gnawed at Elias. Why lie about something so specific? He excused himself to check the traps outside, but really to think. The snow had eased, moonlight casting an eerie glow. Footprints led to his door, two sets, erratic, but no signs of pursuit. Yet. Back inside, the women had retired to the corner, wrapped in his blankets. Elias sat by the fire, rifle across his lap, sleep evading him. Whispers floated from their huddle. "He suspects nothing," Clara murmured. "Just a few days, then we take what we need." Elias's heart skipped. Thieves? Or worse? Dawn broke with a deceptive calm, the sun glinting off fresh snow like shattered glass. Elias rose early, chopping wood to clear his mind. The women emerged, offering to help, Clara mending a torn shirt, Lila cooking eggs from his hen coop. "You're kind to strangers," Clara said, her smile too warm, too calculated. "A man like you, up here alone, don't you get lonely?" Elias grunted, axe pausing mid-swing. I never had a wife, he said flatly, the words hanging heavy. Never wanted the trouble. But his eyes betrayed a flicker of pain, memories of a lost love in his youth, betrayed and gone. Lila laughed softly, a sound like breaking ice. 2 widows and a bachelor. Fate's got a sense of humor. But as she spoke, Elias noticed a bruise on her neck, fresh and finger-shaped. Not from bandits. Too deliberate. The day wore on with uneasy truce. Elias showed them his small mine shaft, a narrow tunnel into the mountain where he'd scraped enough gold to survive. Ain't much, but it's mine, he said. Clara's eyes lit up greedily, tracing the veins of quartz. Beautiful, she murmured. Worth a fortune. That afternoon, while Elias hunted, the sisters searched the cabin. Where's he hiding it? Clara hissed, rifling through crates. Lila found a loose floorboard, prying it up to reveal a pouch of gold nuggets. Here. Enough to start over. But as they pocketed a few, a shadow fell across the window. Elias, returning early. He burst in, rifle raised. Thieves. I knew it. The women froze, gold spilling from Lila's hands. Wait. Clara cried. It's not what you think. We're running from something worse. Elias lowered the gun slightly, suspicion warring with curiosity. Talk. Fast. Clara sank to the floor, story tumbling out in sobs. They weren't abandoned, they'd escaped. Their husbands weren't dead, they were the monsters. Abusive brutes, she confessed. Beat us, locked us away. We poisoned them during the wagon train stop. Arsenic in their whiskey. Then we fled, but the sheriff's posse is after us. Murderesses, they call us. Shock hit Elias like a bullet. Poisoners? In his home? You brought the law here, he roared. Lila stepped forward, defiant. We had no choice. They were going to kill us eventually. Tom's hands around my throat, night after night. She pulled down her collar, revealing more bruises, old and new. Elias's anger faltered. He'd seen enough violence in the West, men who treated women like property. But murder? Why my cabin? Random luck? Clara shook her head. We heard tales in town. The lonely mountain man with gold. We thought, shelter, then rob you blind. But you're not like them. Kind. Flattery, or truth? Elias paced, mind racing. The posse would come, tracks in snow led straight here. You stay one more night. Then gone at dawn. Take some gold, enough to run far. Gratitude shone in their eyes, but Elias didn't sleep. Midnight brought a new horror, hoofbeats in the distance, faint but growing. He shook the women awake. They're here. Posse. Panic ensued. Clara grabbed a knife from the table. We'll fight. Lila whimpered, but Elias shoved them toward the mine shaft. Hide there. I'll handle this. 5 riders crested the ridge, lanterns bobbing like evil eyes. The leader, a burly sheriff with a star gleaming, dismounted. Elias Thorne? Word is you harbor fugitives. 2 sisters, wanted for murder. Elias stood firm on his porch, rifle casual but ready. Ain't seen nobody. Storm kept me in. The sheriff smirked. Tracks say otherwise. Hand 'em over, or we burn this place. Tension crackled. Elias's finger itched on the trigger. You got proof? One deputy laughed. Their husbands' bodies, poisoned. Witnesses saw 'em flee this way. A shot rang out, not from Elias, but from behind the sheriff. Chaos erupted. The deputies scattered, firing wildly. Elias dove for cover, realizing the women had ambushed from the mine. Clara emerged, pistol smoking, stolen from his crate. Run, Elias, she yelled. Bullets whizzed. A deputy fell, clutching his chest. The sheriff charged Clara, but Elias fired, grazing his arm. Get back. Lila screamed as another deputy grabbed her. Elias tackled him, fists flying in the snow. Blood sprayed, his or theirs? The fight blurred into frenzy. When the dust settled, 3 deputies lay dead, the sheriff wounded and fleeing with the last. Elias panted, wounds burning, a bullet in his shoulder. The women rushed to him, binding the injury with torn cloth. "You saved us," Clara whispered, kissing his forehead. But as adrenaline faded, doubt crept in. "Where'd you get that pistol?" Elias asked. Lila faltered. "Your cabin, we found it." Lies. Elias had hidden his spare gun deep. Something wasn't right. Recovery took days. Elias mended in bed, the women nursing him with herbs and broth. "Whispers again at night, the gold's ours now," Clara said. "Once he's weak enough." Elias feigned sleep, heart pounding. They weren't victims, they were black widows, luring men to death for fortune. How many husbands before? He tested them. "I got more gold hidden," he murmured one evening, eyes half closed. "In the mine, under the loose rock." Greed sparked in Clara's gaze. That night, he heard them slip out. Following stealthily, bandaged arm throbbing, he watched them dig in the shaft, lanterns flickering. "Now's our chance," Lila said. "Poison his food tomorrow." Clara nodded. "Like the others. For husbands down, what's one more lonely fool?" Rage boiled in Elias. He stepped from shadows, rifle cocked. "I never had a wife," he said, voice like thunder. "And I ain't starting with killers like you." They spun, faces pale. Clara lunged with the knife, but Elias fired, once, twice. Clara crumpled, blood staining the gold dust. Lila screamed, charging wildly. He hesitated, her eyes, so like his lost loves, but pulled the trigger. She fell silent. Silence enveloped the mine, broken only by Elias's ragged breaths. He buried them deep in the shaft, collapsing the entrance with dynamite from his stores. No tracks, no bodies. The posse would think they perished in the storm. But as he staggered back to the cabin, a final shock awaited. Under the floorboard, his gold pouch empty. They'd taken it all before the ambush. Clever to the end. Elias laughed bitterly, sinking by the fire. Alone again, richer in scars than gold. The mountains whispered secrets, and he wondered. Had they chosen him randomly, or known his past? Rumors of his own dark history, a wife he never had, because he'd killed her accidental like in a drunken rage years ago, fleeing to these peaks. No, that was buried deeper than the widow's. Or was it? As the fire died, a knock echoed faint, impossible. The sheriff? Or ghosts? He grabbed his rifle, door creaking open to nothing. Just wind. But in the snow, fresh footprints circled the cabin. 2 sets. Women's boots. Terror gripped him. Were they dead? Or had he missed? The storm returned, howling laughter. Elias barred the door, but the whispers began anew inside his head. "You never had a wife," they mocked. "But now you have us. Forever." He screamed into the night, the mountains swallowing his cry. Isolation had been his sanctuary, now it was his tomb. Days blurred into nightmare. Elias ventured out less, food dwindling. Visions plagued him, Clara's face in the mirror, Lila's hand on his shoulder. Paranoia set in. Was that poison in his water? Self-inflicted doubt. One dawn, riders appeared, not posse, but trappers. "Heard gunshots weeks ago," one said. "You all right?" Elias, emaciated and wild-eyed, mumbled incoherently. They searched the cabin, finding nothing amiss. Must be mountain fever, they concluded, leaving supplies. But as they rode off, Elias unearthed a clue, in the mine rubble, a locket. Inside, photos, not of husbands, but of him, young and smiling, with a woman resembling Clara. His sister? No, impossible. Memory flooded, childhood in Missouri. Twin sisters, Clara and Lila, separated by family feud. He'd fled after killing his betrothed, but they'd hunted him? For revenge? Or inheritance? The gold, he'd stolen it from the family mine. They weren't widows, they were avengers. Shock rooted him. I never had a wife, he whispered, but I had sisters. The realization shattered him. Poisoned by his own blood, literally? He checked his wounds. Infected, but with what? Arsenic traces in the bandages. Too late. As fever claimed him, the cabin door burst open. The sheriff, scarred face grinning. Found you, brother. They were my wives. You killed them, like you killed mine years ago. Scarface Malone, his own kin? The outlaw legend was family vendetta. Elias's vision faded. No. But the bullet ended it, shocking truth dying with him. The mountains kept their secrets, wind erasing all tracks. 2 widows, 1 man. Entwined in blood, buried in snow.